students, welcome back to my channel. We are learning the chapter Constructors and Destructors. In the last two sessions, first session we have already learned the definitions, syntax, declarations and various examples of the constructor, basically what it is. In the second session we had started with the different types of constructors. So we know that there are three types of constructors: default constructor, parameterized constructor and copy constructor. Previous session we had seen all about default constructors. So today let us go ahead and learn what is a parameterized constructor. I think with the name only you would have understood by how the default constructor will not have any arguments, where we are going to initialize all the objects with the same values. We had seen that only one drawback of a default constructor was that it will initialize all the objects with the same value. Now parameterized constructor is someone with which we can overcome that drawback, right? So a constructor that takes one or more argument is called as parameterized constructor. So remember, here we are going to take arguments in the constructor. So using this constructor, it is possible to initialize different objects with different values. So here is the overcome for our problem with the default constructor, that here we can initialize different values. The parameters are used to initialize the object. So whatever value we are passing through the parameters, we are going to look with the example. Okay. So the parameters which we are using to initialize the object are nothing but the one which we are going to pass. Parameterized constructors are invoked automatically whenever objects with arguments are created. So this is the difference with the default constructor and parameterized constructor. So whenever we have objects with the parameter arguments, okay, objects with the arguments, parameterized constructor is invoked. We know that the default constructor is invoked automatically whenever an object is just created, but if at all we are creating an object with the parameter, then that time parameterized constructor is going to get invoked. Now when it comes to invoking, there are three methods which we can use in order to invoke the parameterized constructor. So what are those? It is called as explicit call, implicit call and initialization at the time of declaration with the equal to operator. So these are the three kinds of invoking of constructor when we are using a parameter. Right? Now we are going to look into them one by one. Let us see what exactly explicit, implicit and with the equal to operator means. So I'm going to explain with an example each one of them. So when it comes to explicit call, what is the meaning of that? Explicit call is nothing but declaration of an object is followed by assignment operator, constructor name and argument list enclosed in the parenthesis. So this is important, you should remember. So how do we do an explicit call of a constructor? So let us directly go to the main and see the difference here. So see how it's working here. I am having a num. Num is nothing but my class name. I hope you all can see. I am creating an object of my class type, and in this case I am saying equal to num. Now num, this again, the second num is nothing but this is my constructor. Okay, and I am passing the arguments here. Okay, so let me explain the program in detail. So let us go from the class declaration. First thing you should remember is here the name of the class is num. I have two values here, A and B, that is a member, data members. After that, this is the main part which is my constructor. Now here my constructor is parameterized. As you can see, I am using parameters here. I am using two parameters and using this value. For example, the parameters are P and Q and my data members are A and P. I am initializing these data members using the parameters. That is, I am saying A is equal to P and B is equal to Q. So whatever value is getting transferred when the object is going to get declared, that is whatever value I am passing in the argument, that is what is going to get initialized to A and B. I hope this is clear. Next I have a display function, the normal member function, where I am going to display the value of A and B. Now the very important point is when we are calling the function. So whenever it comes to explicit call, remember this particular statement, that is how we are going to call. Declaration of an object is followed by the assignment operator, constructor name and the argument list. So that is what I'm doing here. This is the creation of the objects, that is followed by equal to, I'm calling the constructor name with the parameter, that is in the same format here. Okay, so what am I passing here? I am passing 10 and 20. So 10 is going to be passed over here, P is going to be 10 and 20 is going to be Q. So what is happening? A is becoming 10 and B is becoming 20. So this value is getting initialized when I'm doing the first explicit call, right? Now next, what is happening? In the next call, I am saying num object 2, that is I'm creating object 2 and I'm saying this is equal to num of 40, 50. So this is my constructor and I am passing the value 40 and 50. In this case, what is going to happen? P is going to become 40 and Q is going to become 50, and hence A is going to become 40 and B is going to become 50, right? So these are the two initialization we are doing. So as you can see here, I am creating two objects, but in both the objects using the explicit call or the parameterized constructor, what I am doing, I am giving different values to my objects or my data values, right? Now next, what is happening? See out first constructor object1 dot display. So object1 dot display is nothing but it is displaying the value. So how is my output is going to be? It is displaying A and B. So for object1, this is my object1, value is going to be 10 and 20. For object2, that is the second line, object2 dot display, I am displaying A and B, value is going to be 40 and 50. I hope you are understanding how this is working. So this is all about explicit call. Let me explain once again. In explicit call, we will create an object and after that we are going to say equal to the constructor names and then we are going to pass the parameter. This is very important. Normally when we do only this becomes default constructor, but in this case we need to pass the parameter to our constructor. That is why we are passing the parameters, and these parameters are the one which is going to get initialized to the data, right? I hope this is clear. So this is my output. The output is going to say first construction, that is this particular line which is already mentioned here, the first construction, then I am displaying this value, and then second construction I am displaying this value, right? So this is how our explicit call works. Now next, let us see how does an implicit call works. Remember, we have three types of calls: explicit, implicit, and using the equal to operator. Now how does the implicit call works? Now here, an implicit call means the declaration of the object is followed by argument list enclosed in parentheses. Okay, as simple as that. So here what I am doing, I am saying num. Same example here, I am saying num object1, but here I am not going to use equal to constructor. Here directly I am passing the parameters to the object. Okay, so an implicit call means the declaration of the object is followed by the argument list. That's all we are doing. So see here, same thing, I have my number constructor where I am saying m and n, a is equal to m, b is equal to n, and display function. So whenever I am calling num object of 1020, where is this 1020 going? As soon as I am creating an object of the class, this constructor is going to get initialized. 10 is going to come here, 20 is going to come here. I am saying a is equal to m, so a is going to become 10. I am saying b is equal to n, so b is going to become 20, isn't it? Now next line, what is happening in the next line? Next line is saying num object2 of 40, 50. Now what is happening here? Again, the value is going to come here. In this case, in case of object2, 40 is going to come for m, n 50 is going to get again for object2, a is going to become 40 and b is going to become 50, right? After that I am going to display it. I hope this is clear. There shouldn't be any confusion. Remember, in explicit call we will say equal to constructor name and then the parameters. When it comes to implicit call, we are directly creating the object and the parameter, right? So let us see the output. How does it work here? So output is going to be a is equal to 10, b is equal to 20, that is for object 1, and a is equal to 40 and b is equal to 50 for object 2, right? Now next, initialization of the objects during declaration with assignment operator. Now this is the third method which we are going to learn. This is the with the assignment operator. So what is happening here? We have learned explicit, implicit. This is assignment operator. Remember, this method is used for the constructor with exactly one argument only. This is very, very important. When you have only one argument, so what is this? Here I have only one argument. Only then I can use an assignment operator. In this method, declaration is followed by assignment operator and value to be initialized. So what I am doing? I am directly creating an object of the class and then using the equal to sign and the value. Okay, so that since we can give only one value, this is used only when there is one parameter. This is very, very important. You cannot use otherwise. You can use other methods if you want. So let us see. I have a class whose name is number. This is my constructor, okay, where I am taking only one argument, and that argument I am initializing it to a, and I have a normal member function which is display. Whenever I am calling num object, this is the object I am creating, I am saying it is equal to 0 or 100, sorry. What is happening? The value is coming over here. M is 100, that is the value I have passed. That is why A is becoming 100 for object 1. Next, when it comes to object 2, what I am saying, it is equal to 200. Same, constructor is going to get invoked and A is going to get a value 200, right? Now in the cout, I am saying object 1 display, object 2 display, obviously 100 and 200 is going to get printed. I hope this is clear to you all. So let us see the output. Output is going to be 100 and 200. So when it comes to the equal to operator, that is our initialization of objects during the declaration with the assignment operator. Remember, this method is applicable only to the constructors that have exactly one parameter. If a class contains at least one parameterized constructor, then necessary arguments have to be passed to the constructor in the declaration itself. Okay. If the user does not want to pass argument, then default constructor must be created in the class. The example is given here. So what does this mean is, so whenever we are using a parameterized constructor, suppose I have a class here, I have a class number where I have my parameterized constructor. For example, in this case itself it is number, and I am using the parameter int x and int y, right? Then I am initializing some values here. Next, in the main function, what I am doing, I am calling this function with the parameter I am passing. Obviously it will come over here, initialization happens. But in case I am calling a default constructor and I have not declared any default constructor in my code, for example, here I have only parameterized constructors, I do not have a default constructor, so that time it will be an error. So in order to overcome that, a default constructor must be created in the class. So along with this, what will I do? I will also have a default constructor. So it is okay to create one or more constructor in a class. So I will have another default constructor, so that whenever I am not passing any object or any parameter, for example in this case, so that this one can be invoked. Remember, if at all I am having a parameterized constructor, and if there is a case where I have to invoke a default constructor, then I have to have the default constructor also available in my program. Otherwise what happens is, there will be an error in the program. Now let us see if I can combine all these three methods. Okay, So what is happening in the implicit call? Implicit call, I have my class. For example, let me take the same class, which is number, and then I have a value int a, and then I'm having a parameterized constructor which is saying int x, suppose, and I'm saying a is equals to x. Okay, let me end the class here. In the main explicit call, now I'm creating an object 1. In the explicit call, what we would have done is I will say equal to my constructor name, and then I will pass the value, isn't it? This becomes my explicit call. Now if I am doing an implicit call, I will create an object 2 and I will directly pass the value. Okay, and the third method is I am creating an object and I am saying equal to a value. Right, now suppose I am having a suppose I will write a code for cout object 1, object 2, object 3. What would happen? Okay, now let us go through this. So I have mixed, or I have combined the explicit call, implicit call. So this is my explicit call. Okay, this is my implicit call, and this is the using the equal to operator. So how it is going to work? I have a single constructor here whose name is num. I'm taking one parameter. So let's look here carefully. In this case, what is going to happen? Num object, I'm creating an object and I'm passing, again I'm calling the constructor and initializing the value. So obviously a is going to become 100. How is that? The argument x is going to become 100 and that is going to be automatically initialized to a. So in case of my explicit call also, I am going to get a is equal to 100. Now when it comes to implicit call, what is happening? Num object of 200. In this case also I am going to invoke the constructor and here the value is going to get initialized to 200. In the third case, that is using the equal to operator. Remember, this can be used only when you have one argument. That is why I have taken a constructor example which has only one argument, so that I can combine all three together and explain it to you. So in this case, what is happening? 400 is getting moved to as a value of x or as a parameter. So in this case, the value is going to be, a value is going to become 400. That is in case of our equal to operator. So this is what my output is going to be when I'm printing. Maybe only this value is going to get printed. But the main objective of me writing this code is, remember, in an explicit call we will create an object, then I'll say equal to, then constructor name and then the parameter. In an implicit call I will create an object and directly I will use a parameter here. But when it comes to equal to operator, I am going to create an object equal to and then the value. This is very important, used only for one value. So that's all in today's session, students. I hope you are clear with the concept of parameterized constructor and 3 ways to use a parameterized constructor. So that's all in today's session. Thank you for watching.